If you're worried or even excited what your favorite tech stocks are going to do the coming week, you found the right video. We're going to run you through Tesla, NVIDIA, AMD, WBD, Palantir, SoFi, GSOL, interesting one, bit of Bitcoin stocks, silver stocks, gold stocks, and of course all the research here was done by little Alberta, who has a little bit of an eye infection, unfortunately, but she'll be all right. So let's jump straight into it. The tool I'm using is, of course, tradevision.io, which is the tool that we build. So let's run through them in that order. And I've got a little watch list here so you can follow along. There it is. Well, actually, we're going to kick off with Tesla because I'll have it on the screen. And Tesla just had the most beautiful 2 days for a very, very long time. What are you seeing on the chart here? Well, the first thing, of course, if you follow me for a little while, if you're new to it, I'll break it down for you, is we have one of our textbook heartbeat patterns here. Do you notice that one, right? You notice that one? There's an even bigger one if you connect these two here as well. But therefore, it's time to draw some lines. And it sounds silly. I used to think it's silly, but it's the one thing that makes me quite a lot of money. So that would be one way of drawing in that trend line. Why did my line just disappear? There we go. And here is another one. And we can we're just sort of roughly connecting. We can go back even further, roughly connecting the highs and the lows here, right? That's all we're doing. We're connecting highs and lows. It's that simple. Trading and investing is actually very, very simple. We follow the money. Once you follow the money, well, you kind of have a pretty good idea of what's about to happen. And then on top of that, we have this high here and this high here. And you could, again, put in a little bit of a line here just to illustrate those. And what do you see? Well, we've taken out the previous high, we've taken out that high, we've taken out that high, and even better, this is really why this is such a sweet setup, that yellow line there is the 50-day moving average line. We're above it, right? It's curving up, we're above it. And even better, and I know there's a lot of information on the screen, but that's what makes TradeVision so freaking amazing, is you see the red line? You see that red line there? It says Res 370. At $370, the institutions were starting to sell. Guess what? We bought more than the institutions sold. So we've also taken out that resistance line, the buggers, the market makers. And therefore, this is a big, beautiful, shiny, self-driving breakout with robots and everything else, popcorn included. So yeah, this is a very sweet setup. Should you therefore run out and buy it? Well, I can't tell you that. Why not? Because I don't give you financial information advice. I just tell you the rules, the way I look at the chart. And being able to spot stuff like that is beautiful. And by the way, you think, well, it's a bit late now because at the end of the day. Well, yes and no. But if you knew these rules before watching this, you could have set up an entry point here. And you would have bought down there at 370. So you'd be up $25 just on that entry right now. Now, I think it's important that we share that knowledge, that skill set of how to spot these entries with retail investors, you and me, because I think we deserve to have the same info edge. Don't you agree? Well, if you do agree, by the way, put an agree in the chat or an A in the chat. And that way I know that you actually want more of this information, and Alberto and I'll be able to put up more of these kind of videos. So in the same vein, I'm going to do a whole session of just teaching, no fluff, nothing else, just teaching. And I'm going to teach you these rules, and I'm going to charge you nothing for it. Why not? Because it's so much fun when people learn this and you see the penny drop and they go, OMG. And I get these messages every day from students of mine, but I'm going to do a public session. It'll be on Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern time. And that means most of the wage slaves in the audience will also be able to attend. If that offends you, by the way, that's a whole nother problem. We need to do a mindset session on that one. I used to be a wage slave. I did banking and corporate law, and I was then working for myself, which is also that. But this is literally the rules that the most successful in the traders have been using, literally for decades. And I use them every week, and we're doing pretty nicely with it. And it's way simpler than you think. And you can actually learn that foundation in about an hour and a bit. So come and join me at felixprehn.org/training. There's a link down below as well. I'll put it on the screen for you as well. And it's our mission to make more people financially free so more people can hang out with their kittens and their golden retrievers during the day and just enjoy life. So felixprehn.org/training. Try and sign up for that masterclass. And by the way, do that sign up like now, like today. Not tomorrow or next week or someday, because you know what someday means? It means never. Now, having said that, let me walk you through the next stocks here after Tesla looks so good. Let me give you one other golden nugget here, and this is a trade vision nugget. We have access to dark pool data. So I just went back in the top here, and I was like, well, we really broke out on Friday. What happened on Thursday? Oh, on Thursday, institutions were bullish. Interesting. So if you, again, seen that, Thursday institutions were bullish. We've broken out. Why not set up a buy order like right at the open of the market the next day, which is really when institutional money started pouring in. You can see that from the volume down here, and you would have seen that. And then what did they do on Friday? Let's have a look. Slightly bullish, you see? They've already placed all their positions just a little earlier, right? So all we got to do is follow the money flows, and trade vision is a great way of actually doing that. Now, let's run through the rest here in that order, more or less. Let's look at NVIDIA. And I am bullish semiconductors, by the way. My name is Felix, and I am bullish semiconductors. And NVIDIA isn't at the top of that list for some reason, because it's already run up a lot. And at the moment, it is in a phase which I call exhaustion. So when you take Winston up a great big mountain, he gets to the top, he just sort of plops out and just lies there with his legs spread out and says, you better have brought some boiled eggs. And it's a bit like that with NVIDIA right now. So it's just going sideways. And you look at the highs here, and that high, and then this high here, and they're kind of just inching downwards a bit. Same with the lows. See, they're inching down a bit. And what does that mean? There isn't a lot of strength there. Like, we're just kind of like, yeah, it's looking all right. It's had a nice, sweet run. We're just kind of like, yeah, neither here nor there. So that's kind of the problem with NVIDIA. And then you can look at, well, what's part of the problem? Let me zoom in a bit for you. Look at that red line again on the screen, right? This is an indicator you're only going to get in Trade Vision, by the way. Absolutely nowhere else. There's a free trial to that too, so you can test it out. If you hate it, let us know and just cancel it. But I know more than 10,000 of you love it, which is super cool. So that resistance line there sits at 177.50. Write that down on NVIDIA, right? And where did we close? The close was at 177.53. It's almost as if this stuff works, isn't it? Now you can go even deeper and say go on a 15-minute chart and just have a look at yesterday and just see how that red resistance line here pins the stock to it. Because every time you go over it, lots of sales volume kicks in. Every time it goes over it, lots of sales volume kicks in. And we get dragged back to it at the end of the day. Now we can eventually arm wrestle and win against institutions. But in that process at the moment, it doesn't really look like a particularly sweet setup. So have a look at AMD in the same vein, because that's the same sort of setup. And it's doing exactly the same thing. And we opened an AMD position at 119 here. And that was a nice little run up, by the way, right? That was a sweet little run up. And it ran up, 40, 50%. And then the question is, well, did you already get stopped out? Most people probably did if they had some decent risk management. If you're still in on this, well, you're probably going to be in a sideways action for some time unless something glorious happens. So I'm not loving this. You could even argue that this is a little bit of a head and shoulders thing, which isn't beautiful because this was your kind of warning sign. So I'm not loving it. There are lots of other semiconductor stocks that actually look quite decent. I've got a whole list here. You want to take a screenshot of my list? Here's 106 semis. Actually, I'll do one better for you. One sec. I'll pull up a heat map. You can take a screenshot of that, and then you can ask an AI to give you the list, and you can dump it in here yourself. Maybe we should include these as standard in Trade Vision. Would that be helpful? So let's make them all the same size. Here, there's 106 semiconductor stocks here in front of you. I think one crypto stock, I think, snuck in there, which of course is entirely possible because I did this myself. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here that's actually going up a lot. KOPN, LEAS, look at those ones. Look at the ones that are actually moving. Mu, there's a lot of stuff that's moving. The big boys, they're not moving. So look for the smaller boys. That sounds really bad, doesn't it? That is not. Right, moving swiftly on to Microsoft. No. Okay, enough of those Bill Gates jokes. Palantir. Let's look at Palantir. Palantir had a very good week. Very, very nice week. We really, really moved up here very nicely. Friday, 4.3% woohoo, rally. Now, is there any real news reason for that? Well, that's one of the other cool things with TradeVision. It now gives you news alerts, which is really, really cool. There's also a summary in here, and you can click on that, show more. You can see everything that's going on here. But yeah, it tells you exactly what's going on here, upgrades and so on. And then it also gives you, if you really want to, every item has the sources. So you can click on those. You can also just click on the straight news articles. But what I love is that, so you can filter by impactful articles only. So you can get this the dross. What I love about this more than anything is that I can get alerts on just the stocks that I want. So notifications, and I'm getting alerts on, say, my watch list. So the stocks that I'm interested in, right? You could make it your portfolio, anything else like that. So that's very, very, very cool. But okay, enough about how cool TradeVision is. I'm just excited because we built it and it's just very, very fun. Palantir did something important, muy importante. It went above the yellow line there, 50-day moving average line. And this whole thing down here, we basically just kept bouncing off it. That's actually a good thing. That's strength. Like, we didn't break down below it. That's very, very useful. And yellow line reminds me I should put on these glasses. It's better for the eyes when you have studio lights on you. And the only thing is that breakout here, these last 3 days, volume was a bit meh, right? So not brilliant. But we did, and Alex Karp will be happy about this, we did beat up the institutions. The institutional resistance is sitting at 165. So that's another big win. So to me, Palantir looks very good. It is going to hit the same resistance it hit up here at 188, 189. So let's just bear that in mind. That's definitely going to be the next test case there. But yeah, it looks beautiful. And the more you listen to Alex with the wonderful hair, the more you want to fall in love with the stock, marry it, and just generally put all your money into it. But that would be a bad idea, which is why we don't do that sort of stuff. So yeah, think about risk management there. Now, Warner Brothers, that's an interesting move, right? You don't see stock charts like that very often. That thing went up on Thursday 28%, on Friday another 16% on monstrous volume. Now, I had no idea why, because it's not really something on my radar normally, Warner Brothers. Really not the sort of thing I want to invest in. But you got all the news in here. Takes off as Paramount, Skydance, ICE takeover, right? So it tells us there's a takeover here. So it's up 28% and so on. It would combine Paramount, CBS, Nickelodeon, MTV, Paramount, blah, 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 blah. And it's an Ellison-backed bid. So that's pretty good, right? That's pretty good. And at the same time, Warner Brothers obviously wants to get a good price for itself, which is why on September 11th, the CEO says the business will meaningfully outperform the forecast. So yeah, good stuff there. And again, you would have gotten an alert for that. I did on my mobile phone. So I'm like, oh, okay, interesting. Now, what's my verdict on that? So this is a stock that it's underperformed for quite a long period of time, right? Pretty long period of time. It's basically just been going flat. Now, the longer you go flat, the bigger the potential breakout. But this is an events-driven and mergers-driven buyout. Not buyout, rally. So the risk is that the deal falls apart. So in reality, there's probably a 50-50 chance. Now, do I think I have better odds than 50-50 with all the other stocks? I do. So for me, these things generally are not on my radar. I used to cover this kind of stuff when I was a banker. We looked a lot at like events-driven stuff. But to me, this doesn't seem like a sweet spot. Like, we would look more at like, is there, the two companies or maybe three or subsidiaries are listed somewhere or something. Maybe there's an opportunity somewhere in there, but I don't think there is. I mean, you could get lucky, but lucky is not the way we want to make our money. It's systematic. Now, SoFi. Now, funny thing is, I had a note on my shopping list for SoFi, and my shopping list was this. My rule was this: buy SoFi if it closes above, wait for it, 26.50. Now, it closed at 26.49. So yeah, I'm still not buying it because rules are rule. That's the way it works. But no, essentially what you're looking at now is, you see these highs here? They're slightly higher than that. I actually would kind of like to be above them now. So I'm now that, actually, it did close at 26.50, but it moved slightly lower after hours. So technically, actually, this is probably a buy. Why is it a buy? Because again, look at the pattern here. right? It's that kind of pattern. And when you break out of those highs here, which it has actually done in fairness, it has, then that's a pretty good thing. So yeah, I'm liking SoFi here. I'm liking quite a lot of banks right now, but particularly these kind of banks that are tech leveraged and therefore kind of loathed and hated by the market still. So yeah, I think SoFi looks brilliant here. I'm not telling you to buy it, but to me, it looks really, really good here. We would, of course, like to see it, move a little higher and then see the volume pick up a little bit more down here. That would be a real win, but it still looks pretty good. So I'm liking this one. Now, let me walk you through a couple of stocks that we don't normally talk about because I want to show you a little bit more about how to find opportunities and maybe teach you a thing or two that you didn't already know. This is an interesting one, PAS, that I presently own, and I'm not showing this off to gloat. I didn't actually buy this down here. I bought a stock called MAG. I don't know if that's still listed. I don't think it is. And I got bought by PAS. So there was some weird buyout whereby I got some cash and I got some stock in this new company. But the funny thing is, I should have bought PAS. Let me just do something about this meowing cat. 1 second. Right. Now, what do you think of this stock PAS? Can you identify the pattern and tell us where the next entry point is? I think we still have some studying to do, unless that meant something. What does that mean? Talking about the RSI? All right. Okay, let's not stop being silly. So there is actually, funnily enough, in this silver stock, like many others, and part of the silver story, it's not about just shiny stuff, is you can't really do AI without silver because it's in every piece of equipment. But you actually have here a really nice sideways zigzaggedy action. And arguably, that would have been an entry point. Alberto seems to agree with me on that one. So what I'm showing you here is that there were a couple of entry points. There was one here, right, where we broke out of that pattern. And then we topped out here again, went a little bit lower, topped out here again, and went a little bit lower. And then this time actually broke through. So that was entry point number 2. So where is entry point number 3? Is this it? I don't think so. No, I think silver is going to go a lot higher. I think both gold and silver are looking absolutely beautiful. I would personally probably wait for a little bit of a pullback and then buy the pullback as it kind of becomes here, 0.3. And we're going to run through those rules on Tuesday, so join me for that. But yeah, it's looking very nice. And just look at how we're going up, how the volume goes up at the same time. So this is looking very, very good. Very, very happy with our silver selection. And then gold, similarly. So a lot of people are excited about gold prices, right? So gold is, doing its thing. And it's, again, almost as if this stuff matters, right? What's that the point? That is the boom point, the buy point. That was the breakout because gold didn't actually do anything. But at the same time, gold miners were doing a lot. So that's what we're buying. Gold miners, BTG, me and Alberta. So my last buy on BTG here was at 403, which is about here. Is that the cleanest entry? No, it's a little bit more of an advanced one, but it is actually the same ziggity-zaggity thing here. And then you just got to take a line across those tops. And then you have essentially your page marker screenshot. I didn't know that was a thing. So yeah, there you have your entry point sort of there. Or maybe a little bit below that here, which is what I did. So I think gold is going to do tremendously well. But again, it's a little extended right now. So as much as I love to buy gold, I would again wait for the pullback a little. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying I would. So, the real sweet entry point was a little lower. It was somewhere down here. I missed it on that particular stock because I was in something else. But yeah, I think gold has got a big, beautiful, shiny future. Central banks buying and all that kind of stuff, and just generally inflation fears and everything else. So it looks pretty good. Now, this other sector that's actually really going bananas is crypto. And crypto is just, well, there are many ways of getting exposure. You can always just go and buy some Bitcoin or something and hold it till death do us part and, hold on for dear life. There are also some other companies like these guys here, and this is more like the mining angle to it. Which I quite like. So I always look at is there a leveraged but lowish risk version with a beautiful chart? And this chart here is about as beautiful as they come. You actually want to marry this chart. And this is just an absolutely really nice sideways zone, right? And then we break out of that. Volume is down here, volume explodes. And that's really what it's all about. And again, if you're new to this, or maybe even just a little unclear, or maybe not 100% confident, join me on Tuesday and I'll walk you through it. And then we get those breakouts. So on the first day down here, this was like a definite buy, and somewhere here, I was late to the party. I didn't see it, but I saw that move, and I was like, okay, we're buying that the next day. And then it does it again, and it does it again, and it does it again, and actually increasing volume. So the trend's there. Look at up after hours, we're gapping up even higher. So this is one of those things that's absolutely beautiful. So is there still time to chase? Look, it really depends on you and your risk management and your general exposure to high risk things, which is what this is. But yeah, it's these kind of things that it's pretty good, 43% in 3 days, right? So that's kind of what we look for. And I'm very happy to buy a lot of stocks that don't really do much. And occasionally we find these and they do a lot. And that's kind of how we make a lot of our money. Another one in this general space is Grayscale Solana. Solana is another cryptocurrency. Again, you could just obviously buy it, but that sounds like a lot of work, so I didn't. But the Grayscale Solana is, it's been a little pummeled from all-time highs somewhere up there. It is still down 80%. It was down 92% at one point. Buy and hold, they say, which is what would not have been a very, very, very fun journey. But now what has it done? Well, it's done exactly what we wanted to do, which is it's done this, right? And I'm not one of those crypto nutters. Not that you're nutters. It's just like, I don't really understand what you're talking about half the time. But yeah, this thing here has been very good. Very nice consolidation on monstrous volume. We're rallying up on really big volume too. So this is clearly some institutional money pouring into this. And it looks early. Still to me, looks very, very early. So I'm a big fan of that. And by the way, we've added all the OTC stocks, over-the-counter stocks, all the little stocks to TradeVision Just. So if you were looking this up, GSOL, when I mentioned it a few days ago, one of those, you couldn't look it up. Well, now you can. So yeah, that one's up just 8% there in a day. I can't remember what my entry point was on this, but it looks good. And it's, again, textbook. So what we do is not rocket science. It isn't some sort of crazy guessing game of the market or like reading the tea leaves or something. No, it's looking at the chart. Is it the right pattern? Are we above certain moving average lines? Is volume doing what we want it to be doing? And then, of course, you got to understand risk management, position sizing, all that kind of good stuff. And talk about all of that on Tuesday if you come and join me there. So this looks pretty good to me. It looks very, very good to me. So if you want me to add any other stocks to this list for the coming week, I tend to do this every weekend for myself, but also, of course, for you. More fun that way. Then drop them down below in the comments. And for yourself, just make sure you actually show up for yourself on Tuesday, because that's going to be an educational opportunity that I might not repeat. And you're going to get a lot of knowledge. So come, be prepared, bring a piece of paper or something, take some notes, take some screenshots, and learn and just get better. And it's so fun when you know what you're doing and you're looking at these things and you've got your good risk management set up, and you're just looking at stocks and you're going, this all looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with everything I've got in here. And you get these big, beautiful, shiny wins. Not promising those, but if you understand this, in my humble opinion, you will very likely do better than you're presently doing. And that's really what this is all about. So I thank you for watching. I thank you for tuning in, and I hope to see you on Tuesday. Take care. Are you worried you're going to get caught out by the market crash that will inevitably come because the market moves in patterns? Well, that's what Hugh just told me to watch out for. And in all seriousness, there is actually a structure to predict the market patterns that happens with 90% accuracy. And I want to walk you through that.